Ooh, I got some kind of feedback there. I don't know what happened. Yeah. So hold on 1 second. All right, I figured it out. Feedback's gone. All right. Yeah, so I had sound on, I guess, on kick. Interesting. Let's just check and make sure everything's running. Everything looks good. All right, we're good. We're good. We are good for landing. I did add this thing. You notice over there in the right hand corner. I didn't know that was a thing through StreamYard. Apparently, you can show comments, right? Show comments makes it easier for me to really pay attention. So this is it. Um, Man, people are freaking out again. It was down the day before, up again, now down again, and volatility, volatility, really easy, not too difficult. 1K to place, you buy a meme coin or utility coin. Honestly, like if you only have 1K, man, like if it was me, like if I only had 1K, I would probably buy something a little more stable, to be honest with you, than a meme coin. I think you're really shooting for a moonshot with 1K in a meme coin. Um, yeah, you got to start your port somewhere stable, and then as you start to build, kind of move towards something else. You take on more risk as you take on more capital. This is basically the way I look at it, at least. Definitely not FA, but that's how I would approach it for sure. FA meaning financial advice, obviously, right? Everybody hates hearing that, right? Everybody hates hearing it. I hate saying it, but it's kind of dumb, but it is what it is. 1K to risk. Um, Probably split it up between a couple things, just so it lessens the blow for failure. So maybe like split it 3 ways or 2 ways or whatnot, and just two really high conviction plays that you could see playing out, even if it's only for a 2 or 3x or whatever. It's worth, I think, in those aspects if it's really high risk, something like that. Well, here's the thing. I will always vote for my bags, but I have to tell you, like there are some good looking bags out there. So it's like you have to kind of pick your winners, right? Who's behind what? Who's rallying behind what? Who's part of it? Like I think for instance, like the mod community is pretty strong, right? That's a good one too. So obviously, I can't just sit there and simply say um, the things that I want to go up because there's a lot of interesting things right now that are kind of playing out, and I think there's a lot of good levels that you can bid into at this moment. Um, and I think like people are looking at this again, like it's all over, and I just don't get it, man. Like you just got too many signals saying different. I would say like when you look at all the assets as a whole, we'll kind of pull up some real quick. Like it's just range trading. Everything's just ranging right now. Nothing's really kind of moving in a big way at the moment. So everything's just kind of playing up and to the right, um, moving towards their targets, but not getting there just yet. And these are some ones that got requested the other day. A lot of things are kind of still kind of shifting upwards, um, doing pretty well. I mean, even SPX 6900, like this thing, if the market was going to collapse, tell me why this chart's still up. Why isn't SPX 6900 completely collapsed yet? I guess that's really the question that I think a lot of people got to kind of answer themselves, because I think not enough people think about that kind of stuff. They see a pullback and they freak out, right? Like you had this pullback here. I mean, look at how many pullbacks you had through here, right? Before you got the next breakout. Look how many pullbacks you had through here before you got the next breakout. You're trying to guesstimate, where this bottom is, and you're trying to day trade this volatility range. This volatility range is all it is. For me, it's buy and hold season. It's play out until you get the swing. I'm playing these low end ranges right now for big swings. So like if we go back down to where I started, okay. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that we go back down to where I started. If swag was to completely retrace back down to the low, does it matter? No, I got in down here. I can just basically add to my position. I don't have to like freak out and add up here. I can add when price comes back. So if price comes back, I can add to my position. it's not a big deal to me at the moment. Right now, you can see easily like a lot of things are twapping. They're higher low structures moving towards an upswing. But every time you get one of these, everybody's freaking out because it is a big drawdown. A lot of these they get big drawdowns, like that one's 43. So if you bought the top, you are absolutely feeling the drawdown, right? But if you bought in the consolidation ranges, you're not feeling that drawdown. And what I would tell you is like every time you're going to be in that boat, like let's say people were buying through here and you saw this breakout and you bought here. Well, you dealt with this drawdown too, and I guarantee it's almost the same. Look at that. That's actually more drawdown. It's 60% drawdown to drawdown from here, and you dealt with that for the bigger swing, and you're dealing with drawdown as you're twapping up with a lot of assets, right? Until they reach kind of like peak euphoria where it just goes boom, 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 just straight up. These are the things that you kind of really want to kind of start dialing out of. We haven't got to this phase yet. I mean, in all reality, this right here, this right here is basically this right here. So trying to day trade that just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm just going to let it ride. I'll let these things ride until they move. So it's really you got to kind of eyeball these things and understand where you are. Stop panicking, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to keep trying to day trade this. You're going to exit the position and it's going to do this one day and you're going to buy up here. And then you're going to draw down to here and you're going to sell here. And then you're going to see it go higher and you're going to be like, oh my God, it's just going to go so high. It's going to keep going up forever. And now guess what? Now you're doing things kind of backwards, right? What you're doing is you're twapping in as price is going up instead of twapping out as price is going up. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're doing this backwards. You want to do this the right way. Doing it the right way is just kind of holding, and kind of bidding the range lows, holding into the current move, and then letting the big swing happen. And when the big swing happens, clip, clip, clip all the way up. That's how you should be approaching this. So you got to stop panicking. Don't panic. All right. Just hang in there. Just hang in there. I had a lot of requests today. I did want to point out a new one that I think will do well too. We'll get to that one here in a few. I gave it obviously to the Discord, to the subs, stuff like that. And we're going to kind of talk about a few new ones that I'm kind of watching. I think the structure looks pretty good. And we'll take a look at that. And I'll get through your guys's charts and everything here in just a few. I just want to kind of run through Twitter real quick on the requests that were already made and kind of look and see what we have going on there, because I think a lot of people, already had requests in today. And I appreciate everybody who came through and, liked the post, got me to the goal I was looking for the post to get this thing running today. That's why I'm here. I appreciate all of you for coming through and hanging out. I just wanted to say that first and foremost. So based SPX was one of the requests. So, we've already looked at this chart originally. We could take a look again at it. I think weekly is kind of your best time frame. Again, I've talked about this above the 50. You're above the current range, right? So you've broken out. So you are in kind of move territory. Now the chart just has to do that. But ultimately, what I think is going to happen here, I'll just be real, is you're going to probably get a pullback because the rest of the market's pulling back right now. So you're going to probably get a pullback, but it'll probably be down and to the right. Down and to the right is good. I want to say that first and foremost. For anybody looking at a chart, the one thing you want typically is down and to the right, because that means you're getting a slow drawdown, right? And then eventually down and to the right kind of comes into what we call a spring load move, right? So you kind of bounce off the low. Again, just another one of those right here, kind of drew down, right? Down to the right, died out, and then popped. And that's what you're looking for with down and to the right. You're looking for these down and to the right and then pop. And you could TP this pop, but all you're really doing is you're just playing the range at the moment with this one. So again, where's the range? Range high right there. Boom. You've tapped it multiple times. You've rejected off it multiple times. Eventually you'll break through, right? If you tap a resistance enough times, you'll break through. And then you've got kind of your low set right there. So overall, you're just range trading right now. And I could tell you, range trading in the current environment, as volatile as it is, eventually these ranges are going to shift away, right? Great example of that is something like Bitcoin, right? A lot of people tried to range trade Bitcoin. They're still trying to do it today. Like I think it's so stupid, but people are literally trying to range trade Bitcoin at the moment. It's like, why are you range trading Bitcoin? It does this every time, and then eventually it's going to move out of your range, and you're going to end up kind of losing your positioning. You're sitting here trying to scout for these, small minuscule moves, and then when it shifts, you're going to be buying a lot higher, and all this trading you did here wasn't worth your time, right? It was never worth your time to trade this. It was always worth your time to just buy and hold, or just buy it and keep buying, until you got the next shift up, because the market this is a bull market. Like no doubt, like we're in a full on bull, right? We've been in a full downtrend here into a full uptrend, and where's our support landing? It keeps landing on the 50 and then coming back up. Eventually, we're going to get a spring load move that's going to push price way out, and then we're going to see a blow off top for a lot of assets. And really, that's what I'm waiting for at the moment. I'm waiting for a blow off top. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're not going to get a blow off top. You're not going to. Risk always gets a blow off top when things are about to implode. And I can tell you, all the people that are talking about things are about to implode should know that. That's why it just makes no sense. You're talking about like there's going to be all these collapses and everything, but what happens before a collapse? The great trap. How do they trap you? They bait you in by pushing prices to extremes, and then they have a bunch of bidders at that point, and then you keep bidding into it, and then they sell into you, and they sell into you, and they sell into you. And before you realize what's going on, you're already well below your entry, right? You may have bought here and waited for the explosion, but you never took profit, and then they get you all the way down here, and now you're upside down. Now you're not willing to sell. Now you're the one who has to hold the bag until the next market. And that's typically how market makers play with you, as far as psychology. And a lot of trading is psychology. That's the one thing a lot of people don't really understand. They don't understand there's psychology to this. There really is. All right. So moving back into the conversation, that's basically S&P on Based. On Based. I don't know much about it, but that is S&P on Based. This is S&P on ETH, right? And then we can go with, that weekly chart. I mean, this thing looks pretty good. This might be, honestly, like what I think is going to happen here is this thing's going to do a big one of these, right? That's honestly what I think is going to happen here. Like I think this is going to roll really hard and then do this and then push hard back up. That'll be a blow off top. So, I mean, if you can handle that, great. I mean, here's the thing. You trying to trade this, illogical. What I would say is, like, if you have money to put into the market, wait for the pullback. And if the pullback doesn't come, guess what? You have extra money. It is what it is. But you should always be looking for opportunities when investing. When you see a red day and you've been eyeballing an asset to buy, you should be buying it. I'm not saying a red day of like a 2% pullback, but I'm saying when you get major pullbacks, you should be looking at that as an opportunity, not necessarily as a way to be like, oh, it's going to go lower, right? Leverage junkies. I'm long on hot dogs, short on bread. Yeah, that's a good one. Leverage should be used to hedge. Yeah, leverage should be used to hedge for sure. So this right here is my thoughts on that. We had a request, obviously, for the drip. We'll run the drip for the drip boys and girls. Look, now you got other ones trying to come in. It's hilarious. Drip Solana, yeah. All right, so let's run it. I think that's it, right? Is that the right liquidity pool? Yeah. And keep in mind, a lot of this stuff, like I was giving this out to people at like, man, SkiCat, I gave it out like 70, 80K liquidity. And now we got that up to like 300 and something K. It's running, right? I believe Drip, we were sitting around 100K when I told people, hey, start getting into this. And now it's sitting, at 300K. And that doesn't mean like, oh, well, you're up 3x, so I'm not going to buy. I think these things are going a lot higher. I do. That's why I said people should look at these. That's also why I bid them. Weekly, you can see this a big move up, kind of just chopping it. And keep in mind, I did tell you all at the same time, that we'd likely could do this, right? Some kind of volatility before you get a bigger swing, or you can even go down and to the right too, right? That's always a plausibility. Flooding my own bags, obviously. You could do either one of those scenarios. The point being is like anytime we're getting pullbacks, you should look at that as opportunity, right? That's the way you should look at everything in the market right now. Drip overall, if we run it on, let's run an RSI real quick. Just see what that's at. See where the RSI is. I mean, it's in a good spot, man. You're really, even if you get a pullback here, you're so far above the 50 that this thing's likely going to go into another bull run the way it's setting as far as strength goes. Daily, yeah, daily definitely could use some cool down. That's why it's cooling down. But you're already kind of coming back below the high here. You hit it at the 70. You could pull back to the 50 before you end up seeing life, but that doesn't mean that you're going to come back much. You could literally just play like this and then get another spring load like that. I like to see drawdown to breakouts. That's typically, how everything plays out. I mean, it's the same thing here, right? Drawdown to breakout, and then that's usually what starts the breakout when you start to see that. So, same thing here with SPX. We could zoom in here. Look at how many times this thing sat here and like basically just ran like this, right? This is on the weekly, by the way. Drawdown, breakout, and then you started to get a big move up, right? You almost equaled the previous high, and then you got the drawdown, and you got squeeze, you got small candles right here, and then you got the big breakout from there. Actually, let's take a look at I haven't looked at the RSI on this one either. Let's look at the RSI, see what this looks like. That'd be interesting. Okay. I mean, that's not bad. That's really, I mean, where you're sitting at now, that's not bad at all. Because, like, the way this peaked before, I would say you'd start being in danger territory if you reach previous peak. Previous peak is still ways away on this one. So, yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd say, like, first TP around this strength level, second TP probably full poured out right around this level if you can get up there. That would be insane. I would think that the liquidity pool would almost have to double to get strength up that high, to be honest with you. That'd be pretty nutty. Not a lot of X's left in it, but the move here looks pretty crazy. Maybe a 2 or 3X from here if you're buying in now. All right, so we talked about drip, we talked about based SPX, we talked about regular SPX 6900. So I'm running through the list real quick. Let's see. Oh, Soul Nick. I don't know what that is, but let's run it. Soul Nick. Okay. I was kind of sweating seeing that 48.5K liquidity. All right, Soul Nick. All right, it's not bad lick. Let's see what this let's see what the holder looks like. Spread's good. I like the spread. By the way, for those who may not know, I'm using BB Terminal. You find the link in my bio. This is for BB. And they have a lot of cool little tools like this holder count right here that can tell you the distributed pie and so on and so forth. And they're working on some other ones too. I'm working with the dev on this and kind of giving him info. I'm trying to get him to give me like, and he says he can do it, but I'm trying to get him to give me the buy sell ratio for like 3 months, 6 months, so you can get a better grasp on a coin's performance over a period of time, right? You might get ups for 24 hours, but like that's what a lot of chart places give you. I'm trying to be like, hey, let's up this buy sell ratio. Let's give a 3 month performance, 6 months performance, even on DGen, meme coins. And if you can get to that point, then you can really see whether or not a meme coin has legs or not. So moving back in, throw it on the weekly. Let's look at we'll run up the RSI. How you doing, Liv? How you doing? Run the RSI here. Yes, Louis. Yes. All right, so we were up. Now we're up more. So you kind of like shifted a little bit here. Billy on base. All right, I'll run that. So you were kind of like this direction. Now you're kind of shifting this direction. Let's see what the RSI looks like real quick from the strength. We've had this conversation. I know those of you have been showing up. We've had this conversation. No bueno. No bueno. I mean, you are above the 50. If you can start swapping the other way, higher low structure, going this way, you're good, right? And I think you kind of have it right here, right? Maybe. Yeah, a little bit. But I would like to see a continuation of this swapping going this way, because you were definitely on a downtrend here for a bit. I mean, here in reality, this is where you're at, and you're kind of bouncing right here midair. This thing could definitely come all the way back down to here if they want to. And really, this is very much showing kind of the trend switch, because your trend switch kind of happens right in here, but you can see strength started to reverse right around here, right? So it's almost like a forced move. If they're going to start holding steadily above the 50, you'll be fine. But this is kind of a tricky one. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is a really tricky one. So be careful with this one. This was a request from somebody in the DMs. Let's run the Billy on base. Billy on base. Let's see. You love those base coins, man, Louis. You love those base coins. What are we looking at? 101, 876. It's one of these, right? Hold on. Am I on the right one? This Billy? Send CA. Well, all right, we'll get 067. I didn't forget about you, Alligator. I didn't forget about you. I don't know if this is the right Billy, to be honest with you, but hey, let's run this Billy. Okay, this is Billy on Solana, so this is not the right Billy. All right. So Billy on actually, hold on, I can just do this. What am I doing? Did that not work? It has to be this one, or sorry guys, having a little bit of a brain fart. No, not all chains. Base. All right, Billy on base. See, oh, got you. Cool. Let me grab that real quick. Sorry. This is what sucks, man, is like you'll type in a name, there'll be so many different options. It really kind of jacks you up a little bit when you're trying to get that info. Hold on 1 second. I'm just pulling up the chat real quick. Let me find that. There it is. CA. All right, this makes it much easier. Sorry about the delay. All right, yes, there we go. See how much easier that was? All right, liquidity pool, 163. All right, that's not bad. How much time we got? Oh, we no. You better have time on this thing. Oh no. There's no time on it. There's no time. I can't run an RSI on this. Yeah, no RSI. 4 hour. Honestly, I think you filled that wick and you're gonna roll, but yeah, you're way overextended even on an H4 here. You could hold, but I think you're kind of high. I think you're in a downtrend, to be honest with you, strength wise. It's a little tricky. So it's a new coin, so like it's kind of a coin toss with this one, and that's why I don't typically do new coins, because it's a coin toss with those. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, Louis. Tough one. Too new, but you know, if you got everything else kind of running for you, I typically take these plays in and out if I'm taking new coins, and then I try to see where they can go. Looks like it's got a little bit of movement here. Maybe you move back up to here on the RSI. but I would say that's as high as I would take it. You could probably get up to here. What are you sitting at? 163K lick, 582 volume in 24 hours. You're doing almost 3 times the volume, the liquidity, 2.1 mil. I'd say this thing probably tops out around 3.5, somewhere in there. So when I say 3.5, 3 to 5 mil market cap, they'll probably top out. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, up dog. Yeah, I could throw up up dog. Yeah, give me just a second. I do owe somebody a wolf token. I remember this conversation we talked about. I think 067. I forgot him. I forgot him the other day. Let's see. 067, right? This one right here. 3.3 mil liquidity right there. 067. That looks like the high liquidity pool. Farcoin and Popcat, sure thing. I'll get them. Oh my God, I hate when you get this, man. Hold on one sec. Let me pull this over here. Sometimes this thing glitches out. Let's do that. Let's go for the high liquidity pool. All right. Wolf. I mean, you're kind of in that prime range. This is kind of like your bid range, right? Like this is that prime range. Even if you're up here, you can be bet down here, but you got a nice uptrend going. Vols kind of, it did pick up, dropped down pretty heavily, and then you're kind of dead on vol, which is fine because that's what you want to be when you're bidding. You want to be kind of dead on vol. Where you want to start selling is when your vol spikes start getting kind of erratic and upwards, like how you got here and here and here. Like if you start seeing vol spikes again, that's kind of an indication to start DCing out. RSI, let's see where you're sitting here. A little high on the RSI, but you're sitting on the daily on this one. We could throw it on the weekly and kind of look at that. There's really not a lot of high range there to measure because it's all over the place when you get to those highs. Let's see, weekly. Ooh, okay. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So you got that downtrend, right? And now you've actually got a pretty established uptrend and you're breaking above the 50. So if you could stay moving this direction, you're likely going to start twapping up, right? That's what I would look for. As long as you can stay above that trend that you're currently moving in. So if you can stay moving this way, you can see big movement off of that. But if you break this trend, you're cooked, right? So say you come back down, you start hitting like 43, 42, the trend is no longer established. You're likely going to come all the way back down to the low, and you're going to likely hit this trend, which means that you're going to get really wrecked, right? It means you'll probably bottom out and then base and then run somewhere else if this doesn't hold. So stick to the trend. If you keep this uptrend on the weekly, you'll be fine. If you start to break below this trend, I would cut the position because you're likely going to be dead for a while if that ends up happening. All right, so let's run Popcat. This is everybody's favorite cat, right? Everybody's favorite cat. What do we got? 379, 12.8 mil. That's the one we want. Look at this. Already got it charted out. Let's run it on the weekly. Yeah, I was looking for a move over here somewhere, but it never got it. It ended up pulling back again. So you can see it's that this one right here is doing something similar to other coins. Just, you had this drawdown. Remember what I talked about before? You want to see down and to the right, and then you get a big move off of it, right? And then you got down and to the right, and now you're starting to get a move off it. What I think this is doing personally, I think this is coiling at the moment, right? So I think it's something like that. And all you want to see is you want to see it continue to pressure. If you come back down here to the low, you want to see it to continue to pressure this and hold this low, and then it can pop off. If it breaks this low, it's likely going to come back down to trend. That's just from the chart. That's just what I see from the chart. Now, RSI wise, again, just another one of those that was in a complete death spiral. You're probably like, what do you mean by death spiral? Really easy. You don't want to see a downtrending RSI ever. And typically, if you do, at some point it reverses, looks good, but you do have a downtrending RSI that flipped here. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. So yeah, downtrending RSI, and it looks like you might be coming back out of that. The only problem you have here is that you need to get above this 50, right? You need to get above this 50. So if you can see right here, you try to get through here, rejected, you pressed up again, looks like you're kind of rejecting. So you could pull back down here to the low. What you want to see is you want to see this thing, if it's going to reject again, you want to see strength come down here, use this as support and break out from there, which would mean price should come back down here, hit the low and break out at the same time. If you don't see this and you start to break price here and you start to break RSI here, I would probably let the cut this, because again, you can end up in a death spiral otherwise, which means you'll end up kind of pressing back down to this current trend. And all of this was just, you know, a hump basically, because sometimes the market will make you think you're reversing like this right here, right? And honestly, like that was a big chunk of the move, right? But you had this big move right here, but you were always in a downtrend. You always had a lot of sell pressure on your coin. That's why the coin rolled and then kind of sat down here, because basically your direction of your strength was going down. Your buyers were lessening, your sellers were getting heavier, and you didn't have an even split between the two. So, and then I think you had one more here. Let me find that real fast. Sorry, I'm talking a little longer than usual, everybody. All right, I'm talking a little longer than usual. I'm trying to really kind of dial into these. 27.5. I think we talked about this a few times, but we could definitely. You can see I already got it charted out. So you had a strong downtrend, right? Top end and low end. Now you're kind of reversing out of that. This was your low end downtrend. You kind of like bottomed out like right around here. You can see the double bottom basically right in there. Boom, boom, boom. And now you're kind of twapping back up. Now, the difference between this twap and the other twaps is that basically you had this strong downtrend that you're well above it, right? You're well above it. You're coming back, retesting. Likely this thing continues pushing up. I mean, this to me looks like it's got a strong bid. I think it's being ran, you know, beautifully. I think Wintermute's actually running this, which makes sense. So they kind of pushed back into this high right here, right? And when I say high, I mean strength high. They knew there was going to be some resistance there, kind of pulled back a little bit, but you're seeing price kind of, you know, exceed that previous high, which means that there's likely more bid higher. So Wintermute will likely continue to keep pushing this higher and higher and higher, enticing buyers in more and more and more. Where I would look at a TP, to be honest with you, is, you know, I'd look at some TP here, and then if you can get higher, like say a blow off top market, you can likely hit that 1618, which would push you into that $4 range. But I don't think you'll get all this at once. I think what you'll do is you'll likely come up here, hit this, down and to the right, and then at some point you'll get a, you know, market go at that point. That's what I think. So I think maybe you can hit up like I'd say like $2, start skimming a little bit for a long period downtrend into a breakout. And this just puts you like into the end of the year too. If you really look at it, it's not anything kind of crazy, but you could definitely avoid some of this drawdown by doing that. That's just my own opinion on this. Like, this is what I think this thing's going to do. I don't think it's just going to keep going up. I think it's going to have some resistance here, because when you have market makers involved, they're not going to just keep infinitely twapping. They're going to eventually start TPing into the buy volume, right? So they create the uptrend and then they rebalance the port by selling into it, right? Then they create the uptrend and then they rebalance the port by selling into it. And then eventually they create a FOMO event where the market kind of blows off and then they sell into it. And this usually ends coins at that point. Not like permanently ends them, but ends them essentially. Sorry, I know there's probably a lot of there's a lot of contracts. I'm gonna get through them all, I promise. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Let me go back to here. Can I chart Jasmine for sure? I know I had a couple other ones that I said I would look at. We'll get the ski cab, Mudang. We can do Mudang. Yep. Base toppy. We can look at that too. Let me run some of these fundamental coins real quick. I'll be fast. I promise, Degens. All right. I know all the Degens are like, no fundamentals. All right. Let me somebody asked about XRP, Jasmine. Let me run some of those real fast. I mean, XRP strong uptrend. I mean, there's really not a lot to say here, to be honest with you. Like, this is just a strong uptrend. Run a fib, high to low, and just this is basically your 2017, this year 2021. What I would say high to low 2021, right? High to low, and then 1618 would be kind of where I'd be looking at this thing to kind of top out at. Maybe somewhere around here, like 285 bill. If you want me to run the actual number for you, we can do that too. That way you have dollar amount. So high to low. Put you around like $6. I think you can hit 6 to 10. That's really what I think on XRP. I've talked about this a few times. I think that's kind of your high end range for this cycle. The cycle is coming close to an end. So like we got to understand, like, you're only going to get so much shift and then the market's gonna get smoked. I know not everybody's in that belief. That's fine. That's just my thought process. We're nearing the end of the 4-year cycle. So I think in that aspect, we have to be a little smarter, or at least a little more cautious, right? I won't even say smarter, just more cautious against the market. Jasmine, I mean, I've had this up for a little while. I think Jasmine is going to do pretty well. At some point we start getting swapping that kind of really pushes it. We haven't really seen fundamental coins move yet, and I know a lot of people are in the camp that they're not going to, but I'm not quite there because I'm looking at RSI. I'm looking at chart patterns. Granted, this is a death spiral RSI, by the way. So we're just kind of trying to break out of that death spiral of sell pressure to the downside. But putting this on the monthly, it's looking pretty. It's not looking too bad. But you gotta break above this 50. You gotta break above this 50 on the monthly. Weekly, same thing. If you get above it on the monthly, you got a lot of upside, in my opinion. I think you can. If you can get above the 50, you can achieve this 1618. If you can't get above the 50, at that point you're just kind of stuck. You're not really going to do a lot. But by the way, 1618 was sitting too low. So I know that looked a little insane. It'd be like 685 roughly, right? To your Fibonacci. So if it's going to run, that's the price I'd look for. But again, you need to get above this RSI 50, which you are sitting well below at the moment. Weekly, you're looking pretty good. If you can reverse out of this, monthly, you still look like you got a lot of room to go. And you got to keep in mind, this is your ceiling. You could easily keep going up, but if you hit this and reject, price is just going to pop up and then come back down. Moving into, you guys are all over the place right now. Render, sure. RNDR. I know I have it on here. Let's do this. I did have it on here. Guess I removed it. Render's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. Death spiral. God, I think all these fundamental coins are wrecked right now. They're just absolutely blown out. Look at this. God, the strength on these things just died. Let me see. And that's even with this uptrend, right? This strong uptrend. Like, it just, you don't have the strength here. Like, this defines momentum, right? Not only that, like, look at vol. Like, your vol is just like, gone. Anybody who's buying now, there's nobody selling anymore. Everybody's just kind of like chilling on it because there's no trading volume, and RSI is underwater. Again, more RSIs that need to break above the 50 to be bullish. This is on the weekly. Monthly, man, if you could put this on the monthly, you're looking good because you just creeped below it, almost like a deviation. And if you can get back above it on the monthly, you could definitely twop a lot higher. This could do well if you can get above it on the monthly. What are we looking at? 2021 here. Yeah, let's do 2021. Low to high to low. You know, I mean, like if the market really gives it to you, about $48. So solid like 12x, roughly give or take. Let me see your XDC. Yeah, I'll run that real quick. Sorry, I know there's a lot of DJs like, what is this guy doing? Why are we looking at all these fundamental coins? I was actually looking at this one the other day. I thought I had a chart with something on it, but maybe not. Volume's been pretty steady, even though it's been in a downtrend. And you got a nice little spike right here, reversal move. The problem is volume's kind of dying back down. You had also a really hard spike on the RSI. That hard spike on the RSI brought you back down to the 50. You're kind of bouncing off it. I don't know how I feel about this one. I would say it's a range trade play, market neutral play for me. It's not bearish or bullish. It's just kind of range trading, essentially. That's what I would say with this. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Emmy. Appreciate it. Let's see. Second, Barra. I think Barra is a real chain, right? So that should be on TradingView, I would assume. Yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. Not a lot of time on this one. I've had a decent amount of requests on this. Monthly kind of looks like meh. I think we have some weekly. Weekly is way below water. Let's look at daily. Daily, you're kind of you're actually a bit overextended, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like look at stochastic, look at RSI. I don't think you're gonna do much over this. You could probably top a little higher. This, like you can see right here, my arrow where I drew this out a while ago because I stopped it here. Like it's kind of like down and to the right. I don't see a reversal here. I don't like seeing matching stochastic to RSI with RSI leading high and stochastic leading high. Vol is dead. You have no volume. Yeah, this is a tough one. And then people sit there and they ask you, like, you know what the funny part is? People are like, why are you buying meme coins? There's no volume in fundamentals right now. Zero volume. Why would I buy something with zero volume? You got to see some life at least from these things before you could actually invest in them. There's nothing you can invest in right now because the volume is dead. And in most cases, they're saying they're overbought and there's no trading volume. So how are you overbought with no trading volume? INC on Pulse Chain. Is that a fundamental? We're gonna run back to memes. Don't worry. Okay. Don't panic. We'll get back to the meme coins in a minute. INC, Pulse Chain. We'll just go with the wrapped, right? We'll just go with the wrapped Pulse Chain. You're only comparing it to Pulse Chain, by the way. You're not comparing it to, and I don't even know if that's a good comparison. Like I would honestly like to see this compared against the dollar. Is there like a USDT version or something? INC. Is it this incentive? I'm assuming. INC. We'll go against DAI. DAI is fine. DAI is stablecoin. So we'll run DAI. Higher time frame. You don't have anything there. That's a hot mess. Stochastic looks like you might be swinging up a little more, right? You're not quite topped on stochastic. RSI is kind of struggling around the 50. Vol is dropping off, but you do have volume. That's at least that part's good. Because like if you didn't have volume, this would be absolute shit. But you do have some volume here. You're dying down on volume, but at least you have some volume. Stochastic looks like it's creeping. I'd say flip the 50 on the weekly. That's what I'd say. I'd say I wouldn't get involved with this unless you flip the 50 on the weekly. That's the way I'd look at this. The rune's token. All right, we can run that. Is this Rune USDT, right? This one? Well, looks like I already got it right there. Already had it lined out too. Look at that. Honestly, like you can see right here, I already had the box. I think this is the low you're probably looking at with art. Maybe this isn't Rune's token, is it? Magic Internet Money. This is Rune Chain. Rune Chain. Which actually doesn't look bad. Let's say you're bottomed out. You could definitely shift off of this. I think this thing's as low as this goes though. But let me see if there's any more fundamentals so we can get back to the fun charts. So Caspa, CAS USD. Caspa, I think, is close. You can see right here, I already have it drawn out too. I think Caspa is close to reversal, to be honest with you. You had the spiral of death. Always look for the spiral of death. You start seeing this, you're going to get cooked. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. You don't want downtrends, but you could definitely, where you are right now on RSI, you could definitely reverse off of this, right? So you could start seeing a reversal back up. Weekly looks all right. Monthly doesn't look bad either, actually, because monthly is playing just underneath, and then it's trying to twat back up. So Caspa looks pretty good. Caspa looks pretty good. From a fundamental coin, this is probably the best one we've seen tonight, to be honest with you. RSI is playing the mid game. Stochastic and RSI are playing the mid game. That's a good sign. You don't have an overheated stochastic. Stochastic's a good measure. Like if you're at the high on the RSI and you're not at the high on the stochastic, that's a good way to measure, like, am I overheated or not overheated, right? That's the way you should take it. If you're not at the high on stochastic and you're not at the high on the RSI, you likely have more room to continue pushing up. It's just when you're matching highs on stochastic and RSI, that's a red flag. That should be a red flag in your head to be like, okay, this thing is likely overheated because both of these are topping out together. You could also be running high on RSI, but running mid game on stochastic. That's a signal that you're, even though you look like you're overheated on the RSI, you can likely go higher because stochastic is not overheated. That's a good way to kind of measure it too. So I'm giving you guys kind of some sauce here so you can kind of know how to play these two hand in hand together. I have that CAS BTC chart. Yeah. I would imagine CAS BTC looks pretty good. Yeah, see, it's pretty bottom too. It's really bottomed. I don't know what I was doing over here. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, you had to look. This right here was a pretty obvious rollover against Bitcoin. And then from there you came down. Now you're kind of shoving downwards. And I like price that kind of drops like this, right? Because you got price dropping right there. You got strength rising right here. So likely CAS is going to flip Bitcoin as far as strength goes. Honestly, this is probably the best looking fundamental coin I've seen tonight. Really is. You got a bull div playing out right there on the weekly. That's usually the best time to look at things. That's the time frame that I caught Bitcoin at the low, was a weekly time frame too. So yeah, this doesn't look bad at all. I'd say it looks good. Let me run through the chat real quick. Magic Internet Money. Yeah, you got to kind of ignore the wicks, to be honest with you. Like a lot of this drawdown is likely filling the wick. You know what I'm saying? So, but the whole thing is like, think of these as like ghost moves. I always try to ignore wicks because bodies matter more than wicks. When you got good structure on bodies, follow the bodies over the wicks, right? The wicks just tend to be noise. So when you look at a candle on a chart, I'll give you guys this information too, right? Because this is good knowledge for anybody. When you look at a candle on a chart, price can push up to a certain point and can push down to a certain point. But what you always want to view on a chart specifically is the agreed upon price. Your agreed upon price is your high and your low close. It is not the wick. It is your high and your low close. So if your high and your low close are your agreed upon price, then what we need to understand is like the most important parts in a chart specifically are your high closes, right? high closes and your low closes, not the wick. The wick is just an attempt to push price into a range, and typically it becomes a failure. What can wicks signify a lot of the time with charts? And this goes with meme coins too, right? Wicks can signify sell side versus buy side, right? So if you got a lot of wicks down bottom and not a lot of wick up top, so really heavy wicks, you're probably looking at a reversal. Get the really heavy move right here, reversal. But then you start to trend down body wise, and you're getting wick, 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 really high wicks and really short wicks down here, likely a reversal, right? And then you're kind of even right here. So you have these really big wicks up here, and you have these really big wicks down here. And so when you're in a trend, whether it be up or down, if you end up kind of in an even spot, that's usually meaning continuation, right? So continuation means likely you're going to continue pushing the direction you were already going. So you were already coming down, you moved into an equalized range, right? An equalized range. And then you got your heavy wicks high and low. You're likely, this is just a stopping point before you push down further. And then again, we end up at another stopping point, right? Before you push down further. And then what you typically get at the bottom of a move, at least a healthy one, is you'll typically get drawdown, right? To the downside. This is good. This is what you always want to see. You want to see the market go from complete flush to sideways, to flush to sideways, into low, low, lower, low, lower, low, lower, low, because this means you're slowing, right? You're no longer trading sideways, you're slowing. So if you're slowing, what does that mean? It means you're starting to get participants, market participants that are interested in the asset that you're currently looking at. So you always look for downtrending charts, and then what you want to see is you want to see uptrending strength, right? This is why I always use the RSI versus the chart, because if strength is moving in the opposite direction of my downtrending chart after a significant pull down, by the way, right? After a significant pull down, if price is moving downwards and strength is moving upwards, likely we're looking at a reversal move for the market. The market's going to likely start trending the other way. This is the same thing Bitcoin did over here at the low that a lot of people didn't pay attention to, is basically you had drawdown. Now here's the tricky part. A lot of people didn't catch this. You had drawdown, and then you had a rising price action, right? And rising price action, we know from a trading standpoint, some of you guys are like, just show me the meme coins. I get it. All right, we're going to get back to it, I promise. Drawdown in the rising is the same as sideways, right? So what kind of price action did we say we wanted to see? We want to see down price action. We don't want to see rising price action. So because we had drawdown in the rising, that again, that's another continuation move. So then you continue to move in the direction you were moving. Then you get this little draw. You get to move back up. You already know where that's going. Back down, right? And then you get to move back up, back down, back up, back down. And then you start to notice here lows are being created. So then you come in, you create the trend. And then after you create the trend, you come over here to the RSI and you say, is my RSI matching my trend? No, it's opposite. So because my drawdown is not matching my strength, and my strength's going the opposite direction, that means reversal. Not only did you have this plane here at the low, you were also at the bottom of strength, right? Your strength was at the very, very bottom here. Really good indication that you should have been bidding anywhere within this range, because your strength was bottomed out. But so you had strength rising, price dropping, reversal, right? And then from there, you kind of move sideways. And again, just remember what I said. I said, if you move sideways, you continue moving towards the direction you were heading. So just like in the other chart, when we were moving sideways and dropping, we moved up, we moved sideways, we move up, we move sideways, we move up, we move sideways, and then we move up again. That's how Bitcoin has been. So what we kind of see here is that The sideways price action is typically continuation price action. And for continuation price action, we can continue to see the market move in the direction we're heading. This was really kind of the easiest thing for me to understand, like as we were moving up, what we were doing, and essentially be able to just keep bidding the market and swapping up, because I kind of understood that the market was wanting to go higher. It never had any intentions really to go lower. The only thing you got from time to time was volatility in a trading range before you shift it out again. Volatility in a trading range before you shift it out again. This is a bull twop, straight up. And then eventually you'll get a blow off top, come back down, retest the lows, and then that's that. So a little bit long-winded. Sorry, that took a little bit, but just kind of giving you guys the sauce there. That's how you guys can evaluate the meme coins kind of similarly too. So if you're wondering how I'm looking at these meme coins, I'm looking at them from that aspect. I'm taking the RSI, I'm running the RSI, and I'm like, all right, is it up or is it down? Are we in a death spiral, or have we got legs here? Right here, you move from a death spiral to a flat bottom, and now you're likely reversing back up. Market maker played this beautifully. They stopped the death spiral, ran it back down, and then now they're twapping it back up. Likely they're going to reach this high on strength before this thing ends up getting cooked again on Farcoin. All right, so now we'll get back into the fun stuff. All right, so a little bit of education for today to go with the fun stuff, but that's where we're at. All right, let's run some of these CAs real quick. Bankers sending. We can look at it real quick. Not sure. How did we evaluate Banker? It was listed on Coinbase. I don't know which. Oh, these ones. Okay. 3.5. I don't remember how we evaluated it the first time. If it's listed on Coinbase, we know how this ends. Yeah, I think we said right here you're above the 50, kind of floating a little bit, so it's a little tricky. You did get a nice little send off. You can go higher, but again, see this candle? This is something I would start swapping into, right? I would start swapping into this. Doesn't mean you gotta sell out of the position, but me, I would be like, all right, I'm cutting some of it here. If it goes higher, I'll cut more. If it goes higher, I'll cut more. Some of it at some point I'll end up riding back down, but I would start swapping out. This is kind of controlled price action too. It's kind of wild that they were able to push it like that, especially without even touching the 50. Yeah, but again, like I said, it is on CB, but I would not be entering this play. I would be anything goes on Coinbase. I typically would exit it. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example of why. All right. Well, let's go ahead and look at a perfect example of why we look to get out of these things when they go on, because they tend to do this, and then they tend to do this. And this is going to be hard set to tell me this thing's ever going to get back up here again with it already having 10 mil in liquidity. Let me see the RSI on this real quick. Actually, since we're on the chart, you got a bounce on the 50, bounce on the 50, nice twop. I mean, I guess they could get up to like right here or something, maybe up to here. We'll see. It is signaling that it's still got strength on it. So I don't know who's market making it, but it doesn't look bad from a RSI standpoint. Holding the 50. You're not in a death spiral, so we'll see. Yeah, rip peanut. Rip peanut. All right, let's see what else we got here. I know. Oh, we had a request for Updog. We did talk about Updog, I thought, the other day. Ooh, I can't remember. Yeah, we did. Yeah, because we have a chart right here. Daily looks okay. Let's see. You're getting above the 50. You're getting a twop up. It's getting a little spiky though. And then weekly. Yeah, weekly you still got a ways to go, man. Weekly. Daily you look fine, but weekly kind of looks like this. It's almost like once you get up to like maybe like right here, you'll probably be above that on strength, to be honest with you. You're starting to move up towards it. But like I would say weekly flips the 50, this thing runs. But weekly's got to flip the 50. Foxy. All right. I'll get to the chats here in just a second. So Foxy was another request. I think I did this one already once for somebody. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. RSI. Let's run it. Death spiral. Possible reversal. Right. Possible reversal, but you got to wait. You got to get up here. Got to get above that 50. You're looking pretty good. I mean, but you could also be doing this, right? You could also be something like that where you're running a channel right now. So it's hard. It's a hard sell for me at the moment, but it's a possibility that you could be kind of switching the trend here. Get above the 50, it'll be more convincing, I would say, on price. And the weird part is like the chart matches the RSI, right? You just keep dropping lower and lower and lower, strength dropping lower and lower and lower. You never really had a good bull move on this coin. This coin had a ton of selling pressure from the get, right? You had this big breakout, but you were always below the 50, barely got above it here. Looked like you might have been able to twop up, fail swing, and then you could have exited here before this ended up happening. But a lot of people probably rode this back down, and that ended up putting them all the way down here. And now you're kind of just playing around down here, and maybe you can get back above the 50 there. That's a tricky one. I'm gonna lie, that's a tricky one. Chat it. Seems like there's a lot of people in chat it. A lot of people talking about it. 248 lick. Not a lot, but something. RSI way overextended on a daily. Let's see, weekly. Bruv, look. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Weekly kind of looks that doesn't look good. All I got it really is to go off of here is a daily. Weekly kind of just floating up here in the middle of the air. I mean, could this swap back up for sure? Could stab into here. Honestly, I would probably cut this and move to something else that looks better. That's my opinion on this. I think lower high for sure. Maybe you could swap a little higher, swing a little higher, but I don't think this thing's going to go moon. To me, the RSI is signaling some red flags here. The fact that it just kind of downtrended from here, try to reverse in the middle of the air, you could likely just end up lower and hit this 50 before you end up seeing a reversal. That's my opinion on that. I think we covered Sonic. Yeah, we covered Wolf. Thank you. Somebody said thank you, mother. Let's see here. We got this one. Is this the same wolf? I think it's the same wolf. Yes, we just discussed this. Death spiral and a possible reversal. We did talk about that. ZEC, somebody Zcash. What is the fascination with Zcash? That's what I want to know. All right. I want to know why Zcash non-display. Let's see. Let's go over to here. ZEC. Weekly looks all right. I mean, it's not bad. You're pushing up. RSI's mid-range. Need to get these lows above the 50. Need to get those lows above the 50. Zcash doesn't look bad here. You can see right here, I got the whole chart charted out forever. I would say your high swings are going to probably hit you around 110, 114. This looks like a downtrend chart. Like, you're probably thinking like, oh my gosh, that's really bearish. This is actually like a twop, right? So these kind of charts kind of end up like this each cycle. Just like XRP is a great example. And then eventually they do this, right? So probably won't be this cycle. You'll probably get this high here, reject. That'll be your bear. And then you're going to probably see some kind of move on the next cycle for Zcash, to be honest with you. That's just my thoughts. Let's see. We talked about Updog. We talked about, okay. Nothing else there. All right, I think we got through Twitter. I think we got through Twitter. Let me check one more chat real quick just to make sure, and then I'm gonna get to you guys that are talking in the chat. Get all your tickers in there. Let's see. You guys keep putting tickers under different messages. STX and Welsh. Here, we'll throw up Welsh real quick. I don't know what that is. After these two, I'm gonna get to you guys in the chat. That is very low liquidity if that's what you want, and that looks dead. I don't even think I need to see the RSI. Yeah, that's dead. That's for sure dead. That RSI is floored on the weekly. Overbought on the daily, just under the 50. Yeah, this coin is likely done, cooked. STX. Let's see. No liquidity. No liquidity in that coin. Yeah, no liquidity in that. All right, gonna run the chat real quick now. Now that we've gotten through that, and then we'll move from there. Sorry about the hold up chat. Let me see. Okay. We're gonna start with MedBits and then we'll kind of run off of that. Yeah, for real though, AD, that was a good play, but man, I'm telling you, look, it looks heated, man. It looks like a heated play. Wall token, 2.4. God, what is this? Hold on. Weekly. All right. All I got here is the RSI. You're at the low. You're above the 50 on the weekly. How are you looking on daily? You're good on a daily too. You're good on a daily too. Just how high can this go? Right. Curtains match the drapes on this. You got the uptrend on strength. You got the uptrend on volume. Somebody's trying to force this, to be honest with you, man. RSI and volume. Somebody's trying to force this breakout. I don't know that you'll get it right away, though. I don't think you'll come all the way down, but I think you'll likely twop or something. Like down and to the right would make me feel better than what you've got going on here. You have everything in your favor to go higher. But I would say you got to get above this level that you're rejecting at currently. Not a lot here. Here's the thing. This isn't the most constructive. It's not as clear with this chart. So I just want to say that first and foremost. But it's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's just tricky. This is a tricky chart. I'll just be real. Like I usually try to look for like really clean signaling charts. I try not to look for tricky charts because tricky charts usually end up in me getting wrecked. Let me see. Bird dog. All right, let's run it. 441. Okay, good amount of liquidity, not bad. Looks like I charted this at one point. Thought I was gonna get up to here. I mean, we got dang close. Should have been twapping out up here though. You hit it a second time. Let's run this on the weekly. I like this top here, but let's see the RSI. Man, I like where you are. But what I would like to see is strength, retest is 50, show it's going to hold and go. That's what I would like to see. I feel like it's kind of tricky because you're here, right? You peak, you drop, you peak, you could drop again. So this one's a little tricky. But if you can roll back into the 50, show that you have support there, it's a thumbs up for me on this one. If you can get that move, you just need to get that pull back into the 50 and then try to run up from there. All right, let's see. Let's run this other one. We got 670K lick. I like that. Let's get about a lick. My God. I see why you're asking. I see why you're asking. Ooh, you got some time on here. Nice little wick. I hope you got some money out here. I hope you got some money out here. All right, so let's see. Let's run the RSI real quick. Let's switch that up. That's a tough one because you just broke below the 50 on the daily, and that's all you got. You don't have a weekly RSI here. So you could be coming all the way back down to here to retest this. You're on the downside of the RSI though. You are not on the upside. You're not on an upswing. So you could essentially likely retrace all the way back to there. Right? That's what I would say with this. I don't know what the drawdown is on that. Let's see. Another 50%. If you can handle the vol, I mean, like it's to me, this shit ain't a big deal. Like 50% swings up and down on high risk. I already know what I'm getting into. But like some people, they're like, I got way too much money into it to kind of mess with that. I would say like the way this is set up, you would be better off just going to another chart, to be honest with you. You'd be better off just going to another chart. That's no shade for sure, but that's just me being real. Like the chart just isn't set up for it doesn't look like it wants to move. It looks like it's retracing whatever happened here. And again, this is what I always tell all of you, right? When you get God candle, right? This candle equaled this whole move over here that took all this time to make. When you get God candle, sell that. Don't hold it. No FA, no financial advice, but sell that shit. All right, just sell it. Don't hold it. Just sell it. Yeah, this is no bueno once you start getting a breakout like that on anything. Hold on. All right. Oh, Elon bought it? Damn, bro. Holy crap. You got Elon to buy that? Yeah, you should have sold it to Elon. Definitely sell it to Elon. He ain't going to spark no reversal. You see an Elon candle? Take it. Take it. Let's see. UFD. All right, let's run it. Good basing. This is a base range, by the way. It's a base range. It is trending down, but it's a base range. And it's a downtrend, which is good. It's good. That's what we want. We want to see down to break out, right? Down to break out. Let's see the RSI. RSI. Overextended. Daily. Let's check the weekly. Do we have a weekly? Oh, we do? Okay. So another one of those. Got to get above the 50. Get above the 50 on the weekly. You have a chance here. Okay. You have a chance. But you got to get above the 50. Likely that's going to be you pricing up somewhere around like 0.8, 0.07, somewhere in that range. I think you're going to have to re-reach this high right here and exceed it. And I think if you can get above this high right here, then you'll likely be well above the 50 and you could start going from there. That's where liftoff would occur. So you just need to break just above this high and liftoff can occur. For now, you're just kind of down and to the right. And then eventually you could get a reversal. But I do like the strength kind of rising here. Looks good on the weekly. Not a lot of time on this coin, by the way. But if you can get above the 50, this could be a go. But you got to get above that 50 first. Bird trip, bro. So what's up, man? What's up? Let's see. Got another one here. All right. Let's run it. If I miss one, prior to the ones I'm coming down right now, I'm getting close to the end of the chat here. If I miss one, just repost it for me, and I'll try and get it in there for you. 192 lick. UFD, not bad. Neutral. But get above the 50, turns thumbs up, right? Turns thumbs up. Basing. This one's basing sideways. Basing sideways, basing downtrend. It's all the same. You got 2 ranges right here. So as you're kind of running up, running down, you could see a drawdown maximum of like, I can't even tell because this is such a what are we going from 2 to 1? 50%, right? This is a 50% drawdown, essentially. If it draws down. So let's go RSI. No bueno. No bueno. You got spiral of death, right? You could be curving out of it. Could definitely be curving out of it. But you got to get above the 50. Got to get above the 50. Otherwise, this is a tap, some kind of maybe lower high, and then boom. You don't want to see that because then this thing just, it doesn't mean you'll go like super low. You could just like flatline on this coin. And you don't want to end up in a flatline situation. So I would tell you the safest way for this coin to get an entry will be way above the 50. Likely you'll be higher in liquidity and it'll suck because you have to buy higher, but you need confirmation. Now there are plenty of coins in this liquidity range, in this market cap range that do look better from an RSI standpoint. I would say likely try to go for those because you'll have a better, risk to reward ratio in that scenario. Right now you're kind of flat here, but it's a little tricky with this one. Beat the second court, was one of the largest BTC holders on earth. Any of the ETH, SEC funds, ecosystem coins verifiable on chain, and plans to pour most of that liquidity in the Pulse chain ecosystem. Since would you buy some INC? Well, what is him? So he could pour some liquidity in the Pulse chain. What does that have to do with INC? I guess is really kind of the question. I would always tell you, regardless of what you hear from news or narratives, always try to stick to the chart will tell you whether a narrative is playing out or not playing out in your favor. More often than not, right? There's always going to be these scenarios where that's not going to happen, but it's more often than not, I've seen it where the chart will tell you everything you need to know. The only way I can see this thing, I mean, you got this, right? You're kind of moving up. The problem is it's like you just keep rejecting on this 50. You need to get up here and stabilize above this 50 range. That's what you need for INC. You have to get above the 50 and stabilize. That's what I'll tell you. If you get above the 50 and stabilize, narratives don't matter. Just go with that. But if you stay below the 50 and you don't stabilize above the 50, you can likely roll here, which means this thing just goes into like sideways forever and no volume. And you can see volume like ramps, then dies, then ramps, then dies, then ramps, then dies. You got a little bit higher here. So you do have a little bit of uptrend going on here. So something was kind of occurring through this range. But you also, from there, have just pretty much fallen off completely on volume. So now volume's kind of like shifting back down. So you'd like to see kind of stuff like this, but you don't like to see stuff like this. But with vol drop, right, and RSI so close to the 50, if you get above the 50, that could be a good indication that vol is going to spike again. So I would look for this to get above the 50. You have kind of like this trend, right? You can go with that. You can go with that. This was where you were basically dead. And then you had come back to life. You've been slowly kind of moving up a little bit. But if you can flip this 50, you're good to go. That's what I would tell you. Benevolent manipulation as opposed to. Well, and again, it's so what I would tell you, Late, is like, are we trying to, it's almost like predicting black swans, right? Because it could happen and it could not happen, right? And we don't know which way it can play out in that scenario because now we're kind of trying to bid news. And when you bid news, typically news hits the ears of everybody who has money before it hits the ears of anybody who doesn't have money, right? The people trying to make money. So typically, if they're going to do something like that, they're going to start shifting into the coin and you're going to start to see it in the chart, right? And you'll start to see them start to move in based on RSI, based on volume, so on and so forth, because they'll start to move before the news actually hits your ears. So that's why I tell you, like, if you're concerned about missing the opportunity, then just keep an eye on this daily or set alerts for price, right? Set up some price alerts on the chart. So if it gets to certain price ranges, you get an alert sent to your email. And then at that point, you can kind of look at the chart and see if it's starting to move and see if all your conditions are met. And if your conditions are met, then you can start bidding. But I would never, me as an investor, me as a trader, I would never invest in something without conditions being met. Because if you start going off the trail of moving outside of your overall strategy, you end up getting wrecked in the end more often than not, because you'll start doing it more and more often. So I always stick to what I know, right? Whale pause. Yeah, string pause, yeah, for sure. All right, yeah, that is my thoughts on that. STX Welsh. I'm just kind of running through some of this real quick. Bonk on base. All right, let's run it. 289, 99 lick, 300. Okay, 300K is a good chart. I like that. Oh no, it's $300. No, not 300K. 99K. This one's kind of low, man. This one's kind of low. We do have time. This one's really low liquidity. I think you're in a death spiral on this one. Possibility of reversing it, right? You got a little bit of pop here, but you definitely have a strong downtrend on strength. This coin is likely not really going to do much at the moment. Again, you can see right here where somebody tried to revive it and it just continued on its way. This is why you want to be careful of these death spirals. You could get a spike here, but it could still just keep dropping in interest and everything else. Let's see here. Let's get this one. Kind of low on lick. Let's see RSI. Oh, all right. You are above the 50. You are above the 50. You could probably get this one to move. I don't know. It's a little tricky. Volume's kind of dead. You got 7 to 11. Let's see what here. Let's do this. See if we can find the spread here. Yeah, spread's a little heavy. Spread is very heavy here. I mean, unless you got some really strong holders, top 10 almost hold 50% of the token. So yeah, I'd be a little cautious with that one. Let's see here. Got another one here. Uh, 18.7. Oh, 208. Okay, this is good liquidity. I like this. Good, nice little pool right here. So let's change this to weekly. Spread looks good. I like this. It's much better spread. Let's run it on here. Let's run the high lick pool. Let's run the RSI. I mean, this is, yeah, that's a clear breakout RSI. That doesn't look bad. So you might be able to start swapping from here. Something like that, right? That's typically how you see these things kind of build out if they really want to. But yeah, RSI looks solid in this one. You were kind of playing below the 50, but now you're kind of well above it. And typically, this is what I try to tell people. Like when you break a range, you want to come well above it so you got enough room to kind of come back if you need to, and then kind of push up. You never want to test the range. Testing the range just results in more downside typically. So you want to see a clear, clean breakout whenever you're looking at these things. Okay, let's see. What else we got? People have been talking about Vine today. Apparently Vine is doing NSFW stuff, apparently, from what I heard. God, this token. Oh my God. Looks horrendous. Let me see. RSI. We're going to run it on the week. Oh, bro. That daily. That daily. Oh, and the weekly. The weekly looks worse. I don't know, man. I don't know about this one. Mine looks like, oh, there's got to be a better pull than this. There's got to be a better pull. Hold on. We're gonna run that back real quick because there's no way that's the main pull and it looks like that. 3.7 mil. God, there's so many liquidity pulls on this thing. It is. That's the main pull. Yeah. Yeah, I don't no. I'm just thumbs down on that one. Absolutely not. Let's see here. All right, I'll get to yours, Albert, in just a second. Let me run MFSs real fast. Giga Chad, the gigaest of Chads. Is this the real Giga Chad or a different Giga Chad? This looks a little light on the liquidity side. Just saying. Oh my God, no. Hold on. Let me look at the weekly. No. That's God. I mean, you're above the 50 here. Oh man, I hate this. I never like to see this on a chart. It's so bad. This is basically just like the coin is dead, and then all of a sudden came back to life, and then it went into a death spiral, flattened out, and now it's kind of breaking above the 50. You're meeting the conditions. You're meeting the conditions, MFS. All right, you're meeting the conditions. But God, I hate the way this thing looks. Yeah. Let's see, Momo. Let me go here real quick. I just think there's better looking charts. I will say that. For sure. Late. This coin is 3 weeks old. And you are this is twop out territory. All right. This is twop out territory. Let's look at the RSI real quick. Let's look at the RSI. We'll see if it's overbought or not. God, yes, it's overbought. Yes. I would be TPing. Look at where your RSI is here. You're in the sky. I don't know if they're trying to control liquidity pool or what's going on here, but you're way too high on strength. If you got in low, I would look to TP some of this, bro. I don't see that continuing like that. H4, death spiral. Oof. Yeah, 4 hours death spiral. I think you're coming all the way back to here on the H4. Likely, this is not going to top up more. You're going to fill this wick, bro. It's very likely that's what's going to happen here. And that strength's going to drop. All right, let's get to the next one. Solnick. I think we did cover Solnick, but yeah, we did cover this. So let's throw this on the weekly. I just need more time to work with these charts, guys. I need more time. It's very difficult to tell you guys on an H4 that a coin is going to play out a specific way because it's just too tricky on low time frames. Way too tricky on low time frames. But I could tell you, like, I looked at that from multiple angles, and it looked like it was just overextended by a shit ton. Death spiral, but above the 50. So you're downtrending. Maybe you're reversing. Maybe this becomes the kind of reversal point. I think this is a little too tricky to kind of guesswork it. I think, honestly, like, even if you swing higher, you're likely going to just kind of roll over. Let's see here. Wojak. Wojak it is. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Budang. Oh, my God. Give me Wojak CA. Give me Wojak CA. Unless you're talking about this one on ETH. All right, we'll go with the Mudang for now because I don't know which one of those Wojaks. Albert, give me the one, the big one. Okay, I'll pull it up next. Oh, look at that! Look at that! I think we talked about this the other day, maybe. Let's see what that RSI looks like. We're gonna run the higher time frame here. So this had some time. Above the 50, came down and bounced. I mean, you got a good little uptrend starting here on strength, right? You could definitely cool down a little bit, but likely you're honestly, like, I think this is gonna move like Fartcoin. Like Fartcoin is just kind of mechanically moving up, and then eventually they'll twop it, probably like right around here, right? This would be first TP, second TP up here, something like that. So like likely you're going to kind of play down either to the right, or you'll mechanically just start grinding up and then eventually just reject over here and then twop back up and so on and so forth. So this one's a little tricky, but you are above the 50, setting healthy, looking good. You could come back down a little bit more in strength and run, but likely this continues to keep pushing to the upside, even if it takes a little bit of consolidation to do that. All right, so Wojak it is, real quick. So the 4.6 million liquidity one, right? See, this is what I'm talking about. So see the chart we were just looking at right here? Or no, not that one, sorry. The other one we were just looking at. This one. See how it's in a strong uptrend? And then when you look at Wojak, this shows you exactly what can happen once you get that uptrend. You eventually, that uptrend reverses, right? So that's what it looks like is going to happen to Sonic. It looks like you're kind of building long to go short. And that's what you did here on Wojak. And then if we run the RSI, death spiral hitting the 50 now, right? So you were in a death spiral, and it actually got worse here. But now you could be reversing. But what I would tell you is wait until you break the 50 before you start getting bullish on this thing. Like, confirm that this thing is not going to just roll back down and come back down here to low. Make sure it breaks well above, comes back, retests, and then you can take entry at that point. Wherever price is, price is. That's the safest way to play this, in my opinion. It's just you're resisting the 50. So this is a strong indication that there's not as much motion here. Likely what this thing's going to do is what Drip did, which is this. I'll show you Drip real quick as an example. And Sonic likely on its way to doing the same thing. Oops, wrong poll. Hold on. This one. So see, remember this one, Albert? Strong uptrend, and then this, right? And this is likely what a lot of these coins that have these strong uptrends end up kind of playing out like, either down and to the right, or there'll be some volatility as they kind of fall into a base range. And then once that base range kind of sets up, you get the strength to move back above the 50, well above the 50. Now we've got enough strength to kind of really shift up. But the second we lost that 50, it just stayed below the 50. You just rolled, right? So you don't want to end up in kind of this death spiral where you're in a downtrend, right? Pushing against your uptrend. See how this one was in a downtrend, pushing against its uptrend? That was your indication that this thing was going to roll. And really, I didn't even pay that much attention to it at the time. I really should have been looking at this. But yeah, strength dropping, price rising, take the breakout, get the fuck out. Otherwise, you're going to end up kind of coming down with it. And you got the big breakout right here. And then you kind of rolled from there. So that is not what you want to see happen, right? You got a little bit of vol here. You could definitely roll down deeper, though. All right, let's see the next one here. Moomoo it is. All right, 1.5 liquidity. Again, another great look. How many examples are we going to come across tonight? Strong uptrend, right? You get the big spike at some point through that uptrend, strong uptrend, and then death, right? And that's how a lot of these end up coming. And they'll eventually come back later on. Let's see RSI. Like Drip did. Let's throw it on the weekly. You got a ways to go with this one, man. You got a ways to go on that RSI, though. I'd say you're uptrending, right? So that's a good thing. But you got to get above this 50. You get above this 50, it's a twop, right? Then you can start getting in wherever price is. You'll likely get a spike up to like right here. You'll miss a lot of X's, but it's better to miss some X's than to end up in something that this doesn't come to fruition and it just does this, right? And never gets legs. You got to see it get legs first. How you do that is let it get above the 50. Okay, and then we'll get the Hoppy. For sure, man. Yeah, it takes a lot. A lot of people, they don't believe in the conviction. I believe in the conviction. I wait until the liquidity moves in, and then I start moving on it quick because I already know what they're going to do. And a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but there are quite a few whales, I think, that watch my account, and they know when I'm going to post something, cough, cough, Albert, and they try to front run me every time. But it's okay. It's okay. All right, so this is a strong uptrend. This one might be. I don't like uptrends, man. I don't. They end eventually. Okay, not bad, not bad. Let's see. Nice little move there, pulling back out of the low. Nice shift away. You could definitely pull back the trend. Likely, this is going to keep pushing up. It looks good. I like the trend. I like the RSI. To go for me. That looks good. Let's run Hoppy real quick. I forget. Is that Hoppy on base? I believe. Yeah. I think it's the base one, right? Or is it? It's the ETH one, right? ETH, the 1.3 mil. Yeah, we're just gonna go with that one. High liquidity. Looks like. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Already had it charted out. Oh, it's the base one? Ah, brother. All right, hold on. Both? All right, I'll do that one in just a second. Let's run the RSI on this one. You're above the 50. You are above the 50. But this thing has been flat for some time. Hasn't got a lot of liquidity. This could very easily kind of come back below. I don't know. I'd give it a little more time. I'd let it go a little higher. If you can get a little higher in strength, then you can start eyeballing it. Really low lick, so it's a tough one. It's almost like there's nothing really here. It's 2 buys, 3 sells, right? No real volume. 372 on 24-hour volume. So right now there's not a lot of motion. Even if whales were moving in, like there's just not enough volume to really say that that's the case. Well's kind of low. Let's go other Hoppy. Right now, I'd say it's a hold off. Just kind of eyeball it. I wouldn't mess with it right now, though. I wouldn't invest in it. Let's see the RSI on this one. Daily a little overextended. Let's run the weekly though. Weekly's not there yet. You got to get above that 50. So you do got kind of a double bottom going on here, or a little bit of an uptrend, right? A little bit of an uptrend, but you need to get above this 50 to start really saying this thing's going to move. I wouldn't really mess with it unless it's able to do that. Other than that, it's not really worth your time. Let's see what else we got. I think that's pretty much it, man. I think everybody got their questions asked. Let me just run through the comments again real quick, just make sure. On the oh, I did have one other request. Okay. Sigma. 1.8 mil lick. That's a base range. You're in a base range on Sigma. Let me run the indicators real quick. We're on the RSI. I hate I have to type this out every time with this, man. Like, DexScreener needs to fix that. Pressuring, but you haven't broken through yet. You are looking good on this. Like, you're getting a strong uptrend, but you got to break this. Otherwise, if you just keep rejecting here, like, this thing could definitely come all the way back down, and then you're just going to get stuck back down here to waddling again. So strength needs to get above the 50. You need a nice little swing out on this to really kind of see this thing move. Keepshi, I can run it real quick. Keepshi. Please don't tell me this chart looks bad, bro. Please don't tell me that. So, bro, that's a good swing. That I would start twapping on that. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, if you're in that coin, I would start cutting some of that. We'll look at the RSI. That'll be the better indicator of that. You're in a death spiral too, bro. You have got good swings out, right? But you are definitely in a death spiral. And you got highs playing out right around here. I'd say ideally. I mean, some people would be like, oh, do it like this. Okay, that's fine. You came up, you hit, you rejected. You're kind of in that range to where you should be kind of twapping on this. Not gonna lie, that's something I'd be twapping. What's the monthly look like? Look at that perfect bottom right there, man. Perfect bottom. Literally rolled out of it. I don't know if Tommy caught it here, but if he did, that was a perfect call right there. Because like this is ideally where you wanted to kind of be catching it, and then you just run from there. But likely you're not going much higher. I'll just keep it real. All right. I'm gonna upset some people. It's okay. It's all right, man. Likely this thing's stopped. For now, keep in mind, you could consolidate sideways, by the way. Like, do some stuff like this and then jump later. Something like that, relatively. But I would say likely this thing's coming close up. And you can see right here, you're rejecting right at the same highs, right? Body candles. Remember, we talked about body candles? You're rejecting right at the same highs. So, no, you could hold it. You could hold it, especially if you think we're going to move into a secular, like, wild bull run like I think we are. But, yeah. Let's see. Let's run Fartcoin on base. Oof. Look at how well that played out. I think I don't remember when I was talking about this. Maybe I talked about it on this show, but I definitely remember channeling that out and being like, yeah, that's a bear flag. And then boom, prices went directly down from there. So now you're kind of, I think you're close to like maybe like bottoming. This coin is absolutely insane though. Look, here's the crazy part. You are getting vol swings on average for like 600, 500%. This is a good coin to trade. Like, the volatility on this thing makes it a good coin to trade just based on the vol by itself. Like, This isn't a coin you got to hold on to for big swings. I mean, you could, but like 6XL, 6XL, 6XL. That's how much volatility this is. This thing literally, like the high swings are 6X from the lows. So like you can really get a lot of movement, up and down wherever it is. I mean, from here, like look at this, from here to here, that's 100%, 111% move, right? Ultimately, so like these are really good volatile moves that you can really kind of play with. Like I hate trying to like people who day trade stuff like this. No, just don't do it. It's not worth your time and effort. Like if you get stuff like this that's really highly volatile, this is good stuff to trade right here. Sui fart coin? What do you mean Sui fart coin? What is what is Sui fart coin? Hold on one sec. Let me pull up the stream real quick. I think what's interesting about Keepsheet is the Keepsheet chart. It is. Boat coin. Too new. Can't give you. Oh yeah, no, it's not that new. I am tripping out. Maybe, I mean, if I can get an RSI on the weekly, we're good. If I can't, I'll run the daily. But typically, anything that you can't get an RSI on the weekly on is a little tough. Daily is way up here, bro. So I would say, like, if you're in this, take profit. That's way too high. I like the RSIs that kind of play along the 50 because that tells you it's kind of well balanced. This means it's kind of like overextended, at least on the daily. Likely what you're going to see is you're going to see strength kind of at some point roll back to here and then maybe hold, right? And if it holds, you're good. But if it doesn't hold, then it's going to go in a death spiral and then you're going to be screwed. We'll just leave this here, actually, because we'll come back and visit that later. Hold on. Fart coin. Now, is this fart coin on Sui or is this Sui fart coin? Is that what it's called? Sui fart coin? Oh my God. It's got 70K lick. Why? Why is there a fart coin on Sui? I need to understand this. Lick is very low. Let me see. Weekly. I don't know. I don't think there's enough time on here to get running RSI, to be honest with you. Yeah. Daily maybe. Yeah. Okay. Down and to the right, you'll probably bleed down and recapture most of this price, to be honest with you. You'll probably come back down to, this 50 level. See how you ramped up and now you're ramping down? You're likely to keep bleeding into that. You got volume kind of following suit. Again, this is the daily. It's really a low liquidity coin. So this thing bleeding down a lot wouldn't, it would make sense. Lower liquidity, higher volatility. That's the one thing we always have to remember with the low lick coins, which means like you could end up, upside down 70% on a coin that's low lick versus like a coin that's high lick. You'll probably end up down like 20, 30%. So that's the way you always have to measure it. So if you can't handle being down 70% because you bought high, then stick to the high liquidity coins is what I would tell a lot of people. Like you need to measure your risk appetite. This is really for somebody who's got a high risk appetite and really like you would only add a little bit of liquidity to something like this. Lofi, yeah, I've been watching Lofi, man. I looked at Lofi the other day. I've been kind of watching it run. It's been kind of fluctuating between like 850 and like 1.5, not 1.5 mil, but like 1,050,000 or whatever. So we did cover Wolf OX67. We did cover Andy. I'm not sure which. Shoot me the CAs of what you want to see in there. I have been watching this though. I haven't bought, but I've been watching it. A lot of volume down here, by the way. This is actually a good sign to see a lot of vol here. It means they're stopping the bleed, because otherwise this thing would probably go a lot lower. But let's check out the RSI real quick on Lofi. Okay. You got a little bit of an uptrend. Need to flip the 50 though. A lot of coins got to flip this 50. A lot of coins got to flip this 50. Usually weekly or higher is a good indication. Like you got to be above the 50 around the weekly or higher. But you're likely still kind of chopping sideways on this thing for a bit until it, catches legs. So gets above the 50, it can catch legs. And your rag. Can you give me CAs for that? For those coins? Oh yeah, we can cover Bobo though. I know Bobo. I don't need to, because the other ones are a little, like there's a ton of wolves, tons of Andes. So Bobo. We talked about this one the other day. This one looks good. Like you've already kind of pushed above the 50. This one's a strong one. So strength wise, Bobo's getting legs. Bobo's definitely getting legs. I would say like you surpassed this high. You're looking really good for a heavy swing, right? But you're above the 50. You could definitely cool down before you break out more. But likely because you are where you are, you're gonna kind of come back a little bit, and then you'll be able to move off this. But you had a strong uptrend reversal after a death spiral, and likely this thing's gonna continue pushing up. That's how Bobo looks right now. And then we've got lots of Andes. Lots and lots of Andes. We've got the highest lick one here, 4.6. Already got it charted. Look at that. So we had all this move right here. Drawdown, basing, breakout. I mean, this looks very similar to something like Swag right now, to be honest with you. So this is your base range, right? You nailed your base range, and then you're kind of sitting back above it. You're creating higher low structure. Now let's look at this from weekly standpoint. Weekly higher low structure. Let's look at RSI. And you are back above the 50. You are back above the 50. It's a good sign. So again, I already had it written on here, above the 50 bullish, below the 50 bearish. You can see right here, you flipped the 50 right here, and where did it go from there? All downhill from there, right? Came back up, retested, downhill, came back up, broke through. Now you're basically in an uptrend on Andy. So Andy looks good from here to push higher, right? So I do have that right there as a good indication that you can definitely continue pushing up from here. So this is always like the 50 is very important to tell which side of the market you're on, right? Are you on the bullish side or are you on the bearish side? Anytime you're below the 50, bearish side. Anytime you're above the 50, bullish side. So you've gotten far enough above the 50 to kind of prove that this is likely going to be a continuation move more than it's going to be a fake out and a break back down. That's the way I would view this. You could definitely see some cooling down and then a runner. Swag looks very, I don't know why these two charts look very similar, but Swag looks very similar. One of those plays too. See right here, you were well below, and now you're back above, right there, like way above. So now you're kind of cooling down, and likely you can start twapping now that you're back in the bull side of things. A lot of these are pulling back a little bit. They're just breaking through. A lot of people are still scared, so they're reacting every time you get a breakout and selling off. And then eventually you're going to get enough momentum to where these things can just continue to twop up and up more. These are the kind of charts I would say a lot of people should be looking for. The ones that went through kind of a semi-bear back into a bull. You got Swag there that looks very similar. Drip, I believe, is another one. And Andy seems to be very similar too. So this one looks really good also. But yeah, that is the conclusion for tonight. We went through a lot of charts. I hope everybody appreciates the conversation piece. It is a little lighter tonight. We didn't get to 2K. We got to 1,285 people. I guess that's something. And we'll kind of move off of that. And well, likely I'll do another post tomorrow. And if you guys can, oh, looks like we got the 13 there actually. If you guys can definitely, bump that post up, then we'll maybe we'll get another day, right? We'll get another day, and we'll just keep running it like that. You guys run the posts up, I'll run the charts up every evening until the interactions slow down, and then I can get a break. That's basically how we'll run this. So if you guys don't follow me, I would appreciate it if you would follow me, right? I try to stay as grounded as possible with a lot of this stuff and give you guys, the best information I can give you with a lot of this. And then in addition to that, if you can follow me on YouTube, Twitch, I also now have a Kick. And I am also on Abstract. So that's another one too. So if you guys want to follow me over there, feel free. Definitely follow me on X. A lot of my notifications and everything go through X primarily. And if you guys could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. One quick shout out, OneCoin. It's a little low lick that I'm kind of watching at the moment. I'll give it to you guys here live. And it's this one. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. It is a little new. You can definitely let this feel out, but this is one that I'm watching right now. This is Trench. This is through, I believe Trev is the one kind of running this coin. He's definitely viral. So I think there's, potential to have legs there, but that's a little more hopium than it is based off the charts. But just want to throw that out there. Again, appreciate everybody who showed up. Thank you again. And if you guys could definitely run it up under this post, repost it, like it, comment, so on and so forth. I greatly appreciate the interactions there on the live. Thank you all again for showing up, and I will see you guys maybe tomorrow if you can run those posts up. See you later.